Hello, ladies and gentlemen. In this video, we're going to be talking about how you can leverage Built With in order to find high intent leads. I'm going to tell you everything you need to know about the platform. I'm going to show you what you need to do, what you can a couple of ideas, how to get leads, how to target competitors, and stuff like that. But with that being said, let's just get right into it. Now, the first thing that we have to discuss is what exactly is Built With. Now, Built With is a website profile, lead generation, and competitive analysis and business intelligence tool providing technology adoption, e-commerce data, and usage analytics for the internet. Now, that sounds like a load of words, but what it really means is it's just a tool which can accurately parse the internet and give you information about who's using what, how many people are using it, where those companies are based, and so on. Okay, now what exactly does it do? Right now, Built With helps you determine what companies are using what programming languages, platforms, tools, all sorts of stuff, right? Allowing you to approach certain types of leads dependent on the technology that they're using. Now, for those of you guys who are in like the more technical side of things, like whether you make websites or you target people who are running ads or stuff like that, you've probably already heard or at least tried of a strategy like this, but I'm going to touch on that later, so just stay tuned. Now, if you're creative, you can make assumptions based on certain technologies that certain businesses are using. Now, for example, hypothetically speaking, if you have a Facebook ads pixel on your website, that probably means that you're either running ads or you have run ads in the past. Okay, if you're using Shopify, that probably means that you're an e-commerce store. Obviously, I mean, you can use Shopify and just build a regular landing page, but most of the time it's an e-commerce store. And if you're using something like ClickFunnels, then you're most likely building out a funnel. And if you're most likely building out a funnel, you most likely know a little bit about something when it comes to marketing. So hypothetically speaking, if you wanted to go and you wanted to target e-commerce companies, this could be one of the best ways of doing it, right? Simply going and seeing who's using platforms like Shopify, platforms like WooCommerce, and targeting them that way, okay? Now let's talk about a couple of real life applications, okay? Now, the first angle that I want to go over is the integration angle. Now, this is when you find a technology that someone is already using and they need to be using that technology in order to qualify for your service. Now, an example here, imagine I send an email to someone who has a Shopify store and they're using Klaviyo, and I offer some sort of service or maybe some sort of email marketing, and my service or product can help their Klaviyo email marketing e-commerce setup go and end up getting better results, right? That's how I want to target people. If my ICP was Shopify stores using Klaviyo, this might be one of the strategies that I'm going to use. I could reach out to them and say, hey, first name. So like imagine it's, hey, John, just found your Shopify store. I noticed you guys already have Klaviyo set up, but just curious. We provide a software that can benefit and could supercharge your Klaviyo setup, right? Are you free for 20 minutes later this week? Now, this obviously isn't a definitive email. You know, you'd probably want to include a case study, social proof, stuff like that. But I'm trying to get the point across where you really want to come off, and that's your unique angle. That's your segment that you found them through this platform, and that's how you're approaching them. Okay. Now, another really nice idea is using a technology qualification angle. Now, imagine if a certain prospect has to be using a certain technology to be qualified for your service. So, for example, say you build Webflow websites, right? Now, it's not like the previous angle where they have to be using specifically Shopify, but that's just the segment that you want to be taking. You want to integrate with Klaviyo, right? In this situation, you are trying to go and redo something, so they have to be on that platform. So hypothetically speaking, imagine that you've revamped Webflow websites. If they don't have a Webflow website, they obviously aren't qualified. Now, another angle that you could, potentially be taking is going with the competitor route, maybe talking about a competitor of Webflow, which we'll touch on later, okay? But imagine you approach someone and you say, hey, John, I stumbled upon your website and I noticed it was built in Webflow. I can see that it was built off a template, but there's a couple pretty big performance related issues here. Do you mind if I send over a video showing how you could potentially fix some of them? Now, that call to action, that's the commitment aware call to action. If you guys have watched any of my other videos, you know that I talk about commitment aware outreach all the time. I'm going to go ahead and link a video about commitment outreach somewhere over here, just in case you guys are interested. But that's totally optional. Now, the next angle that is very interesting is the competitor angle. Now, imagine, hypothetically speaking, there's two situations that I can give an example for here. Situation number one is you approach someone who's on WordPress and you offer to make them a Webflow website. Or if, hypothetically speaking, say you want to market a software product, you could go and find out people who are using your competitor and start trying to sell them your software. Now, hypothetically speaking, imagine you make CRMs or something like that. You can approach people who use HubSpot, Salesforce integrations, take those people and message them and offer them a free trial, or maybe to book a demo or do something like that, right? But the point is, the key takeaway is you have to stay creative with this sort of stuff, okay? You can't just do what everybody else is doing. You have to stay creative, and that's what our best campaigns are, right? It's always very interesting, very unique angles that we kind of had to fidget with to get them working, but that's ultimately what ends up doing the best, right? Now, in the example here is, hypothetically speaking, hey, John, I saw you guys are currently using WordPress. Just curious, is there any reason why? You could have a far faster, better looking, and higher converting website if it were on Framer, right? I just recorded a 12-minute video showing how you could switch over. Do you mind if I send it over? And with something like this, right, now you're targeting them and you're still segmenting. Right, it's another thing. Segmenting lead lists, and matter of fact, I have another video on this, which I'll link somewhere here again, is very important, right? If you want to get good results in your outreach, you can't be blasting off generic messages to hundreds of thousands of leads. You need to have some sort of segmentation, and this could be a great angle, right? And just imagine, like, in a lot of industries, right? Imagine your competitors. Your competitors are messaging leads, just straight up pitching them. Just like, hypothetically speaking, let's say you sell, I don't know, e-commerce marketing services, right? A lot of these e-commerce marketing agencies, they're doing cold email and just saying, hey, I saw your Shopify store, blah, 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 blah. Now imagine you approach them, you say, hey, John, I saw your Shopify store. I noticed you guys were built on Shopify and you guys are using Klaviyo, right? And immediately that's going to make the person reading your email or reading your outreach message think that you actually did your research. Because, like, who just does that? Like, who just actually, like, knows you're using Shopify and Klaviyo, right? Nobody. And if you combine them together and you're really narrowing down that list, you're going to be super personalized in that inbox, and no one else is going to be doing something like that, okay? Now, that's the third application. Now, the fourth application is enriching lead lists. Now, BuiltWith also has a feature where instead of grabbing leads right from their platform, you can actually import your own leads and go and see if your URLs are actually using certain technologies. So hypothetically speaking, let's say you have 10 URLs, right? These are 10 potential e-commerce stores. You could put those 10 potential e-commerce stores into BuiltWith, tell BuiltWith to only return the ones using Shopify, Klaviyo, and Facebook ads, or like a Facebook, ads pixel, and it'll return, say, 4 or 5 of them that have all 3 of those criterias, and you've just gone ahead and filtered that lead list a lot. Because if a company, an e-commerce company, is going to be built on Shopify, have Klaviyo, and have a Facebook ads pixel, that's going to be a much higher quality lead than just being on Shopify, right? So that's kind of the concept. Now, again, there are so many different ways that you can do this, so many different possibilities, right? And it's best when you really get creative. What I just told you is kind of like a rudimentary example. It's very simple, but if you start getting creative with what you can do and really like optimizing this for your niche, this could very quickly become like your best performing cold outreach campaign, okay? Now, here's the thing. You have to be using BuiltWith in conjunction with other tools. Now, the reason is because BuiltWith will just give you website URLs in the end of the day, right? They're not going to give you actual decision makers' contact information, right? And without any enriching, this data isn't very useful. Just knowing the companies to outreach to isn't going to do much for you, right? You still need to use something like Apollo in order to go and get the actual decision makers' contact information. Now, although BuiltWith does give you an email address, hypothetically speaking, these aren't the types of email addresses that you want to be emailing. These are like, I don't know, like info@company.com, help@company.com, hello@company.com, right? They're not actual domains. They're just kind of like, I guess, just catch-all domains a lot of the time that you don't want to actually be emailing. Okay, don't use the ones from Built With. Go and do the work to enrich these leads. Okay, now another really important thing is, please do not try to apply any filters in Built With. That includes stuff like headcount, expected revenue, anything, even industry. Because think about it, how in the world is Built With, a platform which scrapes the HTML code of a website, going to know how many employees that company has? There's no way they're going to know that or know how much money that company is making, right? It's going to be so wildly inaccurate that it's just guesses. It's literally just guesses out of thin air, right? So save yourself the trouble. If you want to filter based on those metrics, then filter them in Apollo, which I'm going to show you when we go later in the video. But never do that type of filtering directly in Built With, okay? Now, here is a screenshot of Apollo. Right now, for those of you who don't know, Apollo is a tool which lets you export leads and export contact information of decision makers. Now, there's a feature on Apollo where if you go on the companies tab, you can actually include website links, right? And in those website links, it'll go and match them to the company. So you can see right here, I put apple.com, amazon.com, and then you see on the right side of the screen, Amazon, Apple, right? It makes sense. If you're going to take, say, 5,000 links, put them in here, Apollo is going to do the heavy lifting, find the companies, match them with who owns those websites, and give you that. And then you can take that, go to the people section, and immediately export. Now, for those of you who know, Apollo is very, very expensive to use. I think it's, $2,000 to scrape 100,000 leads or something, or I don't know the exact price at the top of my head, but it's very, very expensive. Now, if you guys don't want to pay that, which most of you are not going to, I do have a video right here, which I'm also going to link somewhere here in the top right, how you can scrape Apollo for completely free. Okay, there's no catch. I mean, it's a scraper that you can go use and scrape Apollo. It is a little bit of a workaround. It does take a little bit of time, but that is the alternative if you don't want to pay. Okay, now in our agency, I mean, we scrape hundreds of thousands of leads every single month, sometimes every single week. So we have our own solutions, and we, have kind of figured out ways to do this an automated way. I can't show that, unfortunately, because, I kind of do want to, not get that banned or taken away. But at the moment of recording this video, this still works. So for those of you who want to do that, then you can go use Apollo. Now, exporting Built With, obviously you have to first export Built With before you can even put it into Apollo, is also pretty pricey. Not as pricey as Apollo, but still pretty pricey. Built With is $500 a month for the unlimited plan, which is what you need if you want to use it, realistically speaking. Now, unless you are going to be scraping and exporting millions of leads every single month, several lists per day, there's really no point of paying for that $500 per month number. You can just use a tool like Export Lists, and I'll show you guys this, and just basically go and export all of your lists for super cheap. And these guys don't just do Built With, they do Apollo as well. So if you don't want to bother exporting Apollo and you just want it done for you, you could use something like this. And if you come here, I'll show you, please enter your name. I'll just enter George. Which service? They have Apollo Scraper, LinkedIn Job Scraper, Built With Scraper, LinkedIn Sales Navigator Scraper. Everything that you can think about, they have a scraper for it here. The ones that they have available right now, Apollo, LinkedIn, Built With, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, and LinkedIn Company Follower Scraper. Okay, so those are very, very interesting angles that you could be taking, all those different softwares. So, definitely take a look. But that's about it. That's how I would be going about exporting Apollo leads. But before you guys go, the video is not over just yet. I do want to just mention that if you do want to just skip the hassle and you want to get all of these meetings on a done for you basis, on a complete pay per qualified call basis, meaning you do not pay us unless we get you on the phone with a prospect that shows up to the sales call. They have to physically come. They have to be interested in your service. They want to physically want what you're selling. The person has to be able to say yes or no, meaning they have to be able to be a decision maker. They're not just a random employee. And they are qualified by your metrics, meaning they either make a certain amount of money, or they're in a certain country, or they use certain technologies, like I mentioned earlier, or etc., or all four of them, whatever it might be, they must fit your metrics of being qualified. And that's the only case that we'll charge you. We go set up all your scripts, landing pages, VSLs, offers, everything that goes into it, and then you just pay us on a pay-per-qualified call basis. Now, if that's something that you want to check out, then let's schedule a free outbound audit call. All this is we're just going to discuss what you're already doing for outbound, what you could be doing for outbound, what you're currently doing right, and what you're currently doing wrong. We're just kind of have like a friendly discussion about what exactly you are missing out on, if that sort of makes sense. And if everything makes sense and the numbers add up, and when I say the numbers add up, I mean your LTV, your service offering, sort of how your business is structured, then we'll make you an offer. And again, worst case scenario, you're going to get some free advice. Best case scenario, we're going to book you a ton of meetings. So no matter what, it's a win-win situation. But anyways, this link right here is going to be the first link in the description. So if you guys are interested, go book in a call. Honestly, worst case scenario, you lose 20 minutes of your time. You get some free advice. Best case scenario, you go end up making hundreds of thousands of dollars from qualified lead flow that you never have to worry about. And that's pretty much it. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you for watching, and until next time, bye-bye.